Sometimes we have a certain level of bigotry, and sometimes our envy and our jealousy turns into bigotry. And sometimes we judge people from the outside, and the truth of the matter is sometimes we form really significant viewpoints on the character of other people from superficial things. And sometimes people behave badly, and sometimes they don't. But when Scripture says, "Judge not, lest ye be judged," that isn't a matter of saying that you can't end up knowing what is right and what is wrong. That instead is saying something to the effect of, we are a people who fail in a variety of different ways, and we have to extend mercy and grace to others, and we have to end up being a people who allow others to extend mercy and grace to us. And if we don't want people to judge us, we need not to judge other people. And one of the things that has happened over the course of the time that I've had in ministry is I can freely say that God has made sure that anything that I want to do for the sake of moving the kingdom of heaven forward, God has made sure that I have gotten the stuff I need to do extraordinary things. Now, one of the things you'll notice on all of my videos is both the bumper music coming into the video and the bumper music that leaves the video is always music that I have recorded, that I have written, that I have played instruments on, that I've gotten my friends together on, and these are all part of a series of albums that I have made. And there's 2 albums, one from 2012 and one from 2025 that's brand spanking new. So there's Sons of the Prophets, where if you go back at the end of videos, you'll see the album cover that came from Sons of the Prophets. So that was some music that I did a number of years ago. And over the last 2 to 3 years, I've been able to make a new album, which I'm really pleased with. And so you will see the titles of various different songs from these albums that are just a little bit of the music that makes it easier to get in and to get out of the videos. And it's all good. And as a child, I learned how to record music. As a teenager into my young adult years, I ended up being able to work with very high-level technology. And I was even able to work in a number of recording studios that were state-of-the-art at the time in the early to the mid-1980s. And so these are things that I enjoy doing. These are things that God has given me opportunity to do. And really the only thing that slows me down is being able to find friends who want to work on this as fast and dedicating time to putting into doing this. Likewise with the video that we do. This is not taking my Android phone and putting it on a little stand and using a ring light, but we're able to use equipment that is really excellent and really wonderful, and that gives us an opportunity to really have the technology get in the way of sharing my heart. And there's a variety of other things that God has given over the course of the years. I've got all kinds of computers, I've got all kinds of technology, I've got music instruments, I've got all the rest of this stuff. And it's all wonderful. But all of this, for me, has been put at the feet of Messiah. All of this has been used for the purpose of helping Messiah become better known. And so this is stuff that I'm comfortable accumulating and comfortable using. And sometimes people have seen some of my technology, some relatives and folks, and they will say, well, how often do you use that? And I go, every week. And they're kind of surprised that I haven't just collected stuff and put it in a closet somewhere to collect dust and to be forgotten. The other thing that happens at Beit Shalom is that we have Artifacts Media Institute, which is a vision, which I'm going to be meeting with a friend immediately after shooting this, to talk about how we can educate others to be able to use technology to talk about Messiah. We have Utica's Upper Room, which is also something that we're able to do where on once a month through 2025, which is when I'm shooting this, we are inviting musicians in so that they can perform, they can share the inspiration that God has given them, they can share the encouragement that comes through their walk with the Lord and through their being involved with Messiah. And this is something where we have a community of people who really appreciate this and who are interested in this and who are doing this. And I can't believe that I have gotten an opportunity to do all these sorts of things over the course of years. But with all of this, I expect God to support those sorts of things. But sometimes what ends up happening is when God blesses you or God takes care of you, he is leading you in a fashion where he wants to grow you as well. And over the course of years, I have had opportunity where God has blessed us through other people such that there have been times that I've been able to drive brand new vehicles. And I was able to, at one point in time, get a 7-passenger minivan that in the early 2000s was by far the most wonderful vehicle that was on the market at that point in time. It was a Toyota minivan, and it helped us go almost 250,000 miles and to move our family and to take care of us and to do the things that we wanted to do and to be able to get the family around. It lasted a good long time. There was another point in time where my dad ended up putting up half the price for me to get a brand new car, making it very affordable for me, and I ended up having a little car that I puttered around town in and got 155,000 miles out of it. It had a standard 6-speed transmission, it had a little engine, it was very efficient, it was one of the less expensive vehicles that was being sold for new at that point in time, but that was a part of what I drove for a season and a time. And that car was replaced by another car which was a little bit more sporty. And the car that was more sporty was a car that had 100,000 miles on it that I got for a little less than $2,000, and that was all wonderful, and it was great. And I drove that and drove that and drove that. It still sits in the driveway, but can't get the mechanic to work on it anymore, and got 110,000 miles out of a car that already had 100,000 miles on it. I was thrilled with it. And I could see God taking care of my need for transportation with all of these things. But sometimes you have a bias in your heart and you go, well, there's the people who drive these really expensive vehicles. There's the people who drive these really luxurious vehicles. There's the people who drive these things that are really amazing vehicles. And, it's not my job who drives what. It's not my job how God blesses somebody else. But everything that I described to you that I had been driving was something that in my frame was a normal piece of technology that I didn't believe had a level of dare I say, luxury that would end up implicating me as a materialist. Now, God knows what's good about my heart, and God knows what's bad about my heart. And very recently, a friend of mine called me about a vehicle. Now, this friend who called me lives 60 miles away from me, and I see him occasionally, but not a lot. He told me about a vehicle that was 3 hours away from where I am and was 4 to 4.5 hours away from where he was. He had this impression from the Lord that I needed transportation, which I did. He tells me about a vehicle. The vehicle is in prime shape. It's beautiful. It's an old vehicle. It's never been driven in the winters. So as a result, it looks like it's come off a showroom floor, even though it's, 15-year-old vehicle. And it has less miles than any used vehicle I've ever bought has had. And it is relatively inexpensive. Now, there's only one problem with this vehicle. This vehicle is of a European luxury brand. And not unlike other people, I have had a bias against this European luxury brand, not because it's not a good car, but because it appears to be flaunting wealth. And God puts it in front of me, and I can see his hand on my getting it. But I understand that in order to get it, I'm going to have to fix my attitude about how I have felt about other people whom I have felt like have had a lot of other material provision I haven't. Although, to be honest, with the musical instruments I have, with the photographic equipment and the video equipment I have, with the recording technology that I have access to, and with the rest of the things that God has provided, I have been using luxury equipment all along, as most people would figure it. I just haven't been driving luxury equipment. Prayed about it, believed that God had made a provision for me, and now I have gone and bought an expensive luxury car at a price that was less than I could get anything else from. And there's a certain fear about owning these sorts of vehicles because the parts are very expensive on them. But there's also an understanding that God, if he has brought me to a provision and if he's taking care of me, maybe he's more interested than in my being set free of my judgment of other people who have owned luxury products than he is of my looking humble or my driving vehicles that other people will approve of. So here we are. As you go through, you have to repent. You have to turn. You have to change. You have to recognize how God has blessed you. You have to take what you have and use it in a fashion where it brings glory and praise to God. And you can't become attached to your stuff. Because your stuff is the stuff that God has given you so that you can make it through. But sometimes the stuff that God gives you is the stuff God has given you so he can rebuke your bigotry and make you so that you can end up relating to other people in a fashion where what they have won't stir envy or jealousy in you or cause you to believe that God doesn't want them reached as well. Shalom.